Okay, I thought I would do a quick video on the bootloader and what it is and how you use it, because I found in the past that this can cause a bit of confusion if it's not explained. Okay, yeah, right. Well, the PIC, as in the microprocessor there, which I've been over before, needs programming. Basically, it's running software, or well, I prefer to call it firmware, and you need to get that firmware on the PIC. So there's two kind of ways of doing that. The general way of doing it, the usual way of doing it when developing software, is using the programming header here, 6-pin programming header, which is hooked to basically to a clock and programming pin on the PIC. And in order to facilitate that programming, you need a sort of specialist programmer, and I use a programmer called a PIC Kit 3, which is just a little kind of credit card size programmer, USB on one side, programming header on the other side. You write your software. I write my software generally in C, using the MPLAB microchip design environment. When you've written your software and you sort of want to give it a go or do some testing, the general procedure is then that you literally plug the PIC program into the header, and then you say, right, raise the PIC, program the PIC. It creates the software. The PC software creates a hex file, which is just a file compatible with your particular PIC, and you program it, and then you reset the PIC, and then the software either runs or doesn't, depending on whether you're lucky or not, which is great, and it's really quick. I mean, it programs that PIC in seconds. But the only problem with it is, if I was to release, not problem, but if I was to release this PIC to somebody else, or somebody else wanted to build this and I gave them a PIC or sent them a PIC with the software on it, the chances are they will, we're going to need to make a modification. The probability of having the software completely stable, or maybe it is stable and they just want a new feature or a change to the behavior. If they don't have a PIC programmer, then they have to send the PIC back to me, and then I have to program it and then send it back to them, and it's all a bit, not very practical. So the idea behind a bootloader is it's a very small piece of software which sits in the doesn't have to sit in, but in this particular case sits in the lower page of the PIC memory. This memory is non-volatile. By that I mean when the power is removed, you don't lose the program, it stays there, it's in flash. And what the boot code does is it waits for a certain set of circumstances, input from the user, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, and then that boot code fires up on the PIC, and then it talks to, over the USB, it talks to another piece of software running on the PC, which is the boot code for the boot code application, and the two communicate and form a link. And then what you can do then is you can take the hex file, which is effectively the firmware of the program, point to it on your PC, point the PC application software to the hex file. It will pick that file up, and then it will squirt it down over the USB to the bootloader, which is running on the PIC, and then the bootloader then inserts the application code, the actual program that you want to run, inserts that application code and programs it into a relocatable and known area of the PIC's memory. And then when the bootloader has done that, it then effectively resets the PIC, and rather than the bootloader running, the bootloader then passes control to the application, if all this makes sense. So the upshot is you can reprogram the PIC without needing the PIC programmer. It just needs the bootloader installed. So I could just send you a hex file, and then you can just use the bootloader to reflash it. You don't need a specialist bit of hardware. You don't need a PIC programmer. Yeah, I mean it's a little bit slower, but there's almost nothing in it. So okay, so how does it work? What I'm going to do is I'm going to interleave hopefully this video of the board with a video of the PIC software on the PC and how the two interact. It's a bit difficult to show them both at the same time, so I'm going to sort of splice the two videos together hopefully. So this is currently running application code, this PIC. You can see it is because this little heartbeat LED here is flashing about roughly 1 Hertz, something like that, off of an onboard hardware timer. So that tells me that the code is running on this PIC. It's ready to go. You know, it's we can use it. We can use it to control the focus rail. In fact, if I turn the the focus rail is in fact running, so you can hear it moving backwards and forwards. Okay, so that's all good. So now you get a new hex file, and you need to reflash the PIC. So what you have to do, the way I've arranged it anyway, is the center. You remember there's a center switch on this button, on this rotary controller. So if I push and hold it. Now I can either power cycle or I can press the reset button. I could remove the power and plug the power back in, or I could just press the reset button. Now we notice that this LED now is a rapid flashing. That means the PIC is gone into bootloader mode. So the bootloader is now invoked because that was the special set of circumstances it needed. It needed that button pressed when power came up. That's what the bootloader looks for, to know that you want to do bootloading. Now it's in bootloader mode. So on the PC, I can select my hex file. I mean, obviously I'm going to show this interleaved with this video. So if I select my hex file and I press, which I can't see, then I press program and verify. So it's programming, verifying, still in bootloader mode, and then I hit reset device from the PC. The bootloader resets the device, relinquishes control to the application, and now we're backing. So what we did there, although it's doing exactly the same as what it was doing before, obviously, because it's the same piece of firmware, but what we did was we reprogrammed the PIC with a completely new application. So we could have made modifications to that. It could now be operating in a different way, but it's not, but it could be. So yeah, that's basically it. That's reprogramming the PIC using the bootloader. Okay, thanks for watching.